Hello. I've been having a lot of issues with my microphone lately, so let me know if you can hear me well. In the meantime, I actually want to, let me check something real quick. No, no. Okay. Um, mm, mm, mm. Sorry, I'm just quickly filtering through the questions whilst people are joining the stream. People say the sound is fine. That sounds good. Um, mm, 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 mm. Uh, 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 uh. Okay, this makes sense. Here. Okay. Okay, cool. I have now filtered the various questions for the Q&A at the end. All right, 40 people already in here, so that's good. Hello, everyone. It's been a while since we had the stream. I'm sorry about that. Basically, what happened is that about a month ago by now, a little longer than a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, I basically had a pretty bad ear infection that completely bamboozled me and basically took me out of action for a couple of weeks. And then, whilst I was having the ear infection, somebody broke into my house and stole my laptop. So basically, yeah, no stream available. By the way, it's kind of warm in here, so I might be using this fan every now and then. It's June in Portugal. Um, but yeah, basically, I really wanted to do the stream last month, especially considering that there's like, there's a bunch of important stuff that I wanted to talk about at the time, but I couldn't do it. So I will basically try to cram as much information as possible as I can into this stream. I will probably go pretty fast about some of the older stuff that is maybe not as relevant anymore. But then there are a couple of topics which might be a little bit major. If you saw the title of the stream, something big is coming that we're going to talk about. Oh, yeah. And I guess I will tease this already now. Hang around until the end because at the end of the stream, we are going to be revealing the next Grimdark Future faction that is coming out on Patreon. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff and lots of exciting stuff in between them as well. Okay, all right. We see we have already 60 people in here, so yeah, this is good. Something that I just realized I even need to have headphones on when I'm doing the streams? No, right? What am I doing with headphones? It's not like I'm hearing my own voice. So I'm gonna take these off. Sorry, it's just because like since I've had the ear infection, I'm trying to put the headphones in less, and maybe it also helps me regulate my voice. Sometimes I get really loud. I know that I get excited. Okay. I hope that this didn't anything change anything about the sound or something. I hope you still hear me all right. Can you guys confirm? Somebody says it looks cooler. I don't know. I don't know that it looks cooler. Oh, okay. There is something that I want to throw out there because I saw a couple people talk about this here and there, and I just okay. the OPR Hangout is a very, very informal, just, me wrapping my head around stuff, thinking things through, being excited, talking about things. It's a very informal thing. This is not a big official company event type of thing. It's just like, hey, I'm the creator of this thing, and I just kind of like want to throw my crazy ideas out there. So, um, yeah, not I don't there should be no expectation from you. I hope that, like, oh, I will cover every single thing about everything, and I will talk about all the details, and be legally whatever, or like, be trying to speak in a politically correct way. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like, I noticed some people say like, oh, like, it's, I expected a more formality or whatever from the Hangout stream, and I just want to make clear that, like, this is not a formal thing, like, at all. So this is meant to be a hangout. If you're looking for like more official slash formal slash whatever updates, follow our website, subscribe to our newsletter, check out our news articles, all of that stuff. That's where you're gonna find the end all be all information about whatever it is that we're doing. But this stream is just chatting, hanging out, me just shooting the shit. Oh, I see somebody just asked a question. Rigor Mortis, thanks you for a question, but we will have a Q&A at the end of the stream. So, hold your questions for then, because I'm going to be, I'm about to start going through these things. There's going to be lots of slides, so I'm going to be going pretty fast. So I'm not going to be getting to the questions in the chat. Damn, it's getting really hot in here, and I don't want to open the window. I should have had a fan. All right. Anyway, screw it, guys. We have 75 people. It is time to start. Let's go with okay. First thing. Okay, series report. This is a small thing. Basically, over the last few weeks, or maybe already a month by now, whatever. We started posting a new style of comic. This one's called the series report. Very cool. Go check it out on our website, or on Instagram, or whatever you prefer. And basically, the idea with these comics was like, all right, we have serious business, and we have Squip, and those are just, they're following the story of these characters going through the worlds of OPR. And so you kind of like get to learn a little bit about the world's OPR through funny jokes and stuff like that. And it's really just trying to tell a story. Um, Whereas with the series report, basically what we wanted to do is, okay, so we have these world books that are coming out, and we have all this lore that, like, we're kind of quote unquote dumping on people, and we wanted to have a sort of in between of, if serious business is like super super basic, like, hey, have a funny story that has some hints towards the lore, and the lore book is like, okay, here is the lore, here's the big lore dump. Then series report lands somewhere in between there. So it's basically a lore explainer. It takes you through like the most important concepts of the lore. It's still kind of funny. It's still very cute. Lovely illustrations. But it's lighter than the world book, but it should already serve as an intro. And if you like what you're seeing in the series report, make sure to check out our world book, which is pretty awesome. The world book came out now 2 months ago, which is great. We also have so the Grimdark Future world book came out. We also have the Age of Fantasy world book in the works, which will come out by the end of this year. So I'm not sure. Maybe there's going to be another comic in the same style as the series report for Age of Fantasy, to be seen. And also at some point, we will be going back to also doing serious business, and we'll be doing Squip. And who knows? Like, maybe we have lots of ideas. Maybe we'll come up with some new types of comics. Maybe we'll come up with one-offs. We'll do something funny. We'll do something cute. Yeah. Okay. So this was the first slide out of 40. All right. Let's go for the next thing. Next up, Worlds Beyond. Okay. So last month We ran the Worlds Beyond campaign, which pretty crazy. Ended up being pretty huge. I think we made like over 100 and let me double check before I say something wrong. I think we made, yeah, something like, yeah, 160 grand. We had over 1,000 pioneers. So thank you everyone for supporting Worlds Beyond. For those that don't know what Worlds Beyond is, basically it is or was a Frontiers campaign where you could go and grab miniatures from OPR, Titan Forge, and Archvillain Games, and it also is or was whatever the premiere of Titan Forge and Archvillain miniatures rules for OPR. So if you now go to the creator tabs for the various games, you can now find rules for all their models. Really cool project. The Worlds Beyond brand is basically a completely new thing for us. It's um, essentially, okay, let me try to explain this. If community books are the most basic way for us to have non OPR stuff in OPR, then you have like creator books, which are like the step beyond, where it's like, okay, it's a creator, they make some models, they make some rules, that's fine, that's cool. And there's actually lots of really cool books there, and whatever. The Worlds Beyond is basically a step above that, which is like, okay, it's not just creators making books, it's us actually working together, collaborating to do some sort of project. So our plan is that over time, Worlds Beyond as a brand will keep growing. We will try different things with Worlds Beyond. But yeah, essentially, Worlds Beyond is the OPR brand for things that are collaborating with OPR that go beyond OPR. Does that make sense? I guess it's how can I put it? Basically, it's a way for us to celebrate creators that work with OPR using OPR rules as like a baseline, and then building on top of that to do crazy cool things. Yeah, I'm really excited about Worlds Beyond and how it came out. There's actually, I don't know how much I should spoil this. In the short term, there may be still a small cool thing that's coming out for Worlds Beyond. And if it happens, we know that a lot of people were super excited about Worlds Beyond, then they sadly missed it. So we might, I'm not sure, we might maybe reopen it for a moment and do something cool with it, or maybe do something tangentially related. I'm not sure. I don't want to say too much. But keep your eyes peeled. If you're excited about Worlds Beyond and you missed it, keep your eyes peeled because yeah, there's something cool probably coming. Okay, cool. That was Worlds Beyond. So let's go to our next slide, and we have UKG. So unfortunately, I missed UKG because of the ear infection, but OPR was at UKG, which is very cool. Had a pretty big booth. You can see the whole booth here. We had actually like at UKG, each like street, let's say, has a name. So I think there was like a One Page Rules Avenue, which I thought was pretty funny. And yeah, really cool to be at conventions and meeting the fans. Well, for the rest of the team, I suppose, and not for me because I missed it. And yeah, I wanted to kind of like show you the booth. So if you're interested in maybe coming to something like this next time, you kind of know what to expect. So at the booth, we basically had. We had like a big vitrine with like lots of our models. You could check them out. You could see them painted. These are all the beautifully painted miniatures that you can see usually on our Instagram and stuff like that. And then we had demo tables, so you could sit down and you could get a demo for Grimdark Future. You could get a demo for Age of Fantasy. Check out really cool painted minis, get them in your hands, roll some dice, have some fun, grab some free rules, of course, and stuff like that. Then we also had a painting table, painting station, painting whatever. So if you want to sit down and paint some minis. We noticed that it was actually really cool that people wanted to get the demo, but somebody was already getting the demo, so they would sit down, paint a mini, which, by the way, free mini, you get to keep, you get to take home, you get to do whatever you want with, and then afterwards they would then go and do the demo. So it was like a nice little stream. This, of course, in collaboration with Tooth and Coats. And then we also had, what else did we have? Oh, we had free minis, of course. We had the Dwarf Guilds. It was like a Dwarf Guild champion and a Human Empire veteran sergeant. So cool minis. You can get them for free at our conventions. And yeah, I think that's all the slides that I have about our booth. If you want to meet us, if you want to check out OPR live, the next convention is going to be Spiel. I think it's the first week of October, like 4th to the 6th or something like that. So we're going to definitely be at Spiel. We'll have as usual, we'll have minis, we'll have demos. You can meet us, you can meet me. And who knows, maybe there's going to be something related to Worlds Beyond. We're actually currently looking into having some Worlds Beyond stuff, but I don't want to reveal too much so early. But yes, if you Spiel is in Essen, by the way, that's in Germany. If you happen to be there in October, or if you're going to take a trip down, hop by and say hi. That rhymed. Okay, let me keep going. Then, okay, the OPR tournament at UKG. So this is very cool. So for the first time ever, OPR basically had a tournament at well, had an official tournament. So basically, we had the OPR tournament at UKG, where very much in OPR fashion, you can bring anything. You can see here, for instance, there's an army from Titan Forge. Um, we had a format. What was the format? I think it was like 1,500 points, 4x4 tables, 5 objectives. I think that was the format. First time we're doing it, honestly. Very cool. I'm happy with how it turned out. There's a couple of things that unfortunately didn't go the way that we were hoping that they would go. We were hoping to have some mats, but unfortunately we didn't have mats. So it looked cool, but it could have been cooler. The format I think could have been thought through a little bit better. So maybe like on a smaller table have fewer objectives, stuff like that. But whatever. First time we're doing this, I think it was fun. Lots of people had. Lots of people there to have fun with the games. And you can see, here you can see a group shot of everybody that was there, which is very cool. We basically had the tournament was, oh God, I think it was played over 4 games, something like that. Or 5 games. I'm sorry, it's been a while and I don't remember. But whatever. People played, people won, people lost, people had fun. And then we had first place. We basically had like different awards. So for the first place, I think we gave away some battle foam boxes. Then for the second and third place, we had, and for the other places, I think we had like free brushes and stuff like that. So you can see all the winners here with the cool with the cool brushes and their cool sheets. Honestly, it's so cool to finally see these things happen. Just to give you like a bit of an idea, we basically have been working towards more and more community stuff for a long time, and then for many reasons, things got delayed. So, for instance, like these little sheets of paper, I made them 2 years ago by now, when we were meant to use them, and then things happen and things got delayed, and so it's cool to actually finally see them in somebody's hand. And so we had the first place, second place, third place. Then we had best sport, and then we finally had the best painted army. Yeah, it was cool. We're looking forward to doing something like more stuff like this in the future. I'm not 100% sure how exactly it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. If like right now, official OPR stuff that I can quote unquote guarantee is us being at Spiel, us being at Adepticon, and us being at UKG. So right now we're looking into how can we have at least one tournament every time that we go to a convention. Like, can we have the tournament at the convention? Could we have the tournament somewhere near the convention? Maybe do they have different halls? Can we do it at our stand? Maybe at a games club nearby. What makes sense? It's also a bit complicated. You have to understand that when we are at the conventions, we have a team that's manning the booth. But then I'm there as well, and other people from the management side, and we are constantly in meetings and business stuff and all those things. And so it's not so easy to set up. for us. Again, also you have to think about this was the third this was the third convention we were at ever, and this was the first time we had our own fully owned booth ever. So we're still taking baby steps. We're still infants at this thing. But yeah, more stuff coming as it comes along. All right, cool. So that was UKGE. So let's move on. Okay, so this is a topic. All right, version 3.3.1 explained. This is a topic that I wanted to talk about last month, but then when it was still very fresh. But now I had the ear infection. I couldn't do the call. Whatever. So I wanted to quickly talk about it now. Honestly, I don't want to. I was actually a little bit hesitant about talking about it because like I said, this is a very informal thing, and I don't want to go too deep into everything. And also, I'm very happy to see that whilst there was an initial like, what the hell is going on when we did 3.3.0 and then 3.3.1, the conversation has kind of died down and like things are relaxed again, and everybody's just enjoying the games, which is very cool, and I think it's very healthy for us. But still, I think basically I should kind of explain what happened for those that didn't really understand. Essentially, so when 3.3.0 came out, it featured a bunch of stuff that I had been working on for a long time. That's actually one thing that I saw some comments from people, and they're like, "Oh, it was rushed. It was not thought through. It was not blah blah blah." And I'm like, "That's not the truth." Like for those that have been following along, some of the features that were in 3.3.0 were things that we have been talking about and working on and testing for many years. For example, the whole idea of like the assault rule and the 12-inch thing and shooting and then charging all that stuff. That's just something that's been in the I don't know how to put it, in the OPR sphere for probably 5 years by now. But I understand that for those that don't know, it seems like what's going on, whatever. But basically, I had been working on these things for so long, and then I've been playtesting them a lot, and I was having fun and I was enjoying it. And I think essentially what happened is, and I suppose that's also what happens to a lot of people that have been playing OPR for a long time, which is like at a certain point you've really really mastered the game, which is great, and then you're kind of yearning for more. And the correct answer is, when you're yearning for more, that's when you go to the advanced rules, right? That's when you can go and grab all the modular bits to customize the experience to your liking. That has always been the concept, right? Simple, easy, clean core rules that have only what's necessary to run a cool game, and then make it in such a way that people can bolt on additional content made either by us or made by them, to enhance the experience. Anyway, and so well, essentially, I've been working on things like the assault rule, like the last stand rule, for a while, and then I don't know. I guess I got excited and I thought, okay, let me talk to the community. We did some threads about it. We talked with people, and then I was like, let me just release this as part of the core rules. And honestly, it was a mistake, and I'm sorry. And I pulled back as fast as I could, because I realized the mistake. Because essentially, it's like, on the one side, it's those are clearly the type of thing that belongs as an advanced rule for OPR. They're not, again, the core rules are meant to be what is strictly necessary for you to be able to have a fun game, and those things are not strictly necessary to have a fun game. Um, so there's that side to it, but also it fundamentally changed some of the core flow of the game in a way that, again, if you've checked out the advanced rules, we have the advanced rule book is actually split into different sections. And for example, we have a section called total conversions, which is like, hey, here are some rules pages that you can use to essentially play a different game. It's not playing a different game, but it really changes the experience fundamentally. And all of these advanced rules, well, they changed all these rules in the core rules, whatever. They changed things fundamentally, and that was a mistake. And so some people were like, "Oh, you should have let it run for longer," and whatever. And I'm like, no, I wanted to pull back from it soon as possible, because I'm like, I want to get back to a stable point. And if I ever want to think about putting these things back, it needs to be a really long discussion. It needs to be a really long beta. It needs to be a really long thing where it works out. And again, I don't know, and I don't think these things will ever truly belong in the core rules, at least not in the form in which they were released. And so yeah, so basically, assault and last stand were moved to the advanced rules. So whoever wants to use them can use them. You can go and enjoy them. Um, and yeah, simple as that. Something though that I understand, it's like this was a very jarring experience for everyone. The core rule, like core rules changing, 1 week and then changing 2 weeks later again. It's really rough. And so I saw a lot of people saying like, oh my god, like OPR is changing rules every week. OPR is changing rules every month. Like how can I trust this game? And I'm like, okay, let me stop for a second. And so theoretically, we're doing the rules updates every quarter. So there was one in January. This one was in April, I suppose, April, May. Um, and then the next one would be coming now in July. And then after that, it would be coming in October. Yes. And basically, I said, okay, I'm not going to do the July update. I'm basically going to stop for a few months, let people breathe. I understand that this was a very jarring experience. And honestly, there is not like I have a big list, of course, of like patch notes that I have for things that I want to update and improve. But there is nothing there that is like, oh my god, this needs to be changed now. The rules are broken. The game is unplayable. There are just tweaks and stuff like that. So essentially, I've decided that I'm not going to do the patch for July, and I'm going to wait until September. And as I mentioned before, something that I've been thinking about, and I want to make this clear, thinking about, this is not a confirmation. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, OPR confirms yearly update, OPR confirms this, OPR confirms this. No, please listen to my words, listen to what I'm actually saying. If you're going to repeat what I said, please repeat what I'm actually saying. I am thinking about possibly making a drop, like a new version 3.4.0 in September, and then essentially having that as a stable version for a year. That is the thought of a possibility of something that may or may not happen. Until it hasn't happened, consider it not happening, right? Why do I want to switch to a yearly release model if I want to switch to a yearly release model? Essentially, it's just to keep things stable. And honestly, like if you pay attention to the patch notes, like 95% of things we usually change in the games and in the rules are anyway related to the armies. So basically, the idea would be that we would keep having the quarterly army updates. Maybe it can change from quarterly. Maybe instead of being 4 times a year, we could change it to be 3 times a year. So every 4 months instead of every 3 months. That's a possibility. Maybe we can do it every 6 months, like twice a year. That's also fine for me. But basically, yeah, I want to kind of like slow things down a little bit. At least that's what I'm thinking. It could also be, and that's why I'm saying I don't know. It could also be that I do the drop in September. Okay, then probably there's gonna be like a first week or two where I'm gonna collect feedback and do a quick patch. That's how it always goes, right? New rules, throw them out there, show them to fucking 30,000 people, get a ton of feedback, and fix the little typos that are in there, and then basically keep it stable. But who knows? It could be that I do that, and then 3 months later realize, oh, okay, like there is some glaring issues and these need to be patched. We are not going to wait 9 more months and have a game that is unplayable. I mean, I can't imagine this happening, but we're not going to wait 9 months and have a game that is unplayable to update it again. So the top priority at the end of the day is we want to have a game that is extremely playable. And if the experience is broken to the point where we need to patch more frequently, we will. That is our top priority. We know that it's not great for fans, especially not for all the fans, but for some fans, it's not great, especially the whole as the community keeps growing. Um, but at the end of the day, that is our priority. That is, we want to make sure that it works. And yeah, and so my plan is, again, nothing confirmed. Right now, my plan is to wait until September. I've been working on Quest, and now it's out, and we will talk about that in a second. But my hope is that I'm actually going to take the next couple months to work on some tweaks for the September release, and actually on some expansions for the advanced rulebook. I've been thinking about these things for a long time, and there's lots of like little fun things, like some of the sections we just want to expand them. So right now, we have 6 standard deployment zones in there, or deployment setups. I would like to extend it to be 12. So double some of the sections with more stuff to make them cooler. and add some new things, some new ideas that I thought would be fun to have in there. But again, everything optional, everything like that. Yeah. And then after that, when it comes to the main games, I actually would like to finally, hopefully, work on the Army Refluffs. This is a huge project that will probably take at least 12 months to complete. And basically, it is to go through all of the armies in the game and look at them again and be like, okay, how can this be fluffier? How can this be more interesting? How can this be more unique? How can we make sure that the armies feel more distinct to play? Within reason, I don't want them to feel completely different. But how do we make sure that if you're playing jackals and if you're playing orcs, you're not gonna be like, well, this is essentially the same army, but just with different names on top. All right, that's it. I think that's about yeah. I think that's it. Yeah, next update September. Now let's move on to the next slide. So okay, Age of Fantasy Quest. Let me talk about Age of Fantasy Quest. All right, I am very excited about Age of Fantasy Quest coming out. I've been working on this game for literally years. I think I started working on it at the time it was called. We were calling it Age of Fantasy Cell Swords, and it was my god, by now I think it was like 2020, end of 2021, beginning of 2022. So it's been like a good 2 years that I've been working on it. The game has constantly changed over those 2 years. There's been lots of versions on Patreon, off Patreon. I've been playtesting a lot, and honestly, for a long time, I thought I'm just never gonna release this game because I guess I just wasn't vibing with the game. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think part of it was that I don't know. I think in some ways it's like the game was trying to be too different from the base game, so it just felt wrong. And then I tried some versions where it felt too similar. Anyway, after a lot of work, I found a happy medium. So Age of Fantasy Quest is out. So you can go grab it for free on our website. Go check it out. For those that don't know what Age of Fantasy Quest is, Age of Fantasy Quest it's a what we call a skirmish adventure game. So for us, it's a middle point between a skirmish game and an RPG. So think about it like a skirmish game with RPG elements in it. So you still have a couple units per side fighting each other. With the regular rules that you roll quality to hit, you roll defense to block. The usual stuff that you know and love. The regular actions like move and advance, hold, advance, charge, rush. All those things. But you have extra things on top of that. So you basically have 2 to 4 heroes go up against waves of enemies as the heroes try to complete objectives and grab little like search token and hidden treasures around the map. You To play the game, you basically create a hero. You go to the app, you create a hero, you create a collection. When you're creating these, by the way, I've seen some people talk about like, oh, how many points should I make? Don't worry about it. The app tells you everything. The game is balanced around your hero, so you should create whatever heroes you want that are fun, and then the difficulty of the game will adjust to your heroes. So don't worry about having heroes that are worth at least X amount of points or whatever. And we actually have a feature in the app. So you set up your heroes, you create 2 to 4 heroes. When you're creating your heroes, basically you can select any hero from any of the armies that you know and love. So you can choose Ratmen or Saurians or whatever. Not only that, also all heroes from the creator books and the community books. So if there is a community book or creator book that you particularly like, for example, if you supported us on the Worlds Beyond thing and you got those really cool frost I don't remember what they're called, the Odoban army from Archvillain, which is very cool. They have penguins in there. You can right now go on the app and essentially use that army in Age of Fantasy Quest. So you set up your hero, you choose the hero you want, then you choose a class for your hero. You basically have 12 classes to choose from, and based on the class that you choose, you will have access to different skills. And essentially, yeah, so that's the biggest difference between the regular skirmish games and Age of Fantasy Quest is that as you play, you essentially can use all of these new skills that are not available in the other games, and you accumulate stress. So you have a certain amount of stress that you can take before you start basically being so exhausted that you take wounds. So the whole game really is about managing your stress, grabbing objectives, grabbing search tokens, fighting waves, using skills to help your allies, using skills to kill the enemy, have one of the heroes rest whilst the other ones protect him, and stuff like that. It's really fun. It's really dynamic. I have to say, I really love it now. It's crazy how much I hated this game. I dreaded playtesting it every day, and now I absolutely adore it. So it's really cool. So anyway, you create your heroes, then you create your collection of enemies, and again, don't worry about how many points are in the collection. Literally, just look at your collection of models. Like, say, hey, I have an army of, I don't know, Ratman. Okay, cool. Let me literally just build a collection with all the Ratman that I have. This works exactly like building an army list for any of the other games. So, literally just say, okay, I have a champion, he has a sword or a rifle or whatever. I have, 3 squads of warriors. I have, whatever. I have a couple of ogres. You just put them all in there. And then basically you go on an adventure. So you pick which heroes want to go on an adventure. You choose your difficulty level. You select which collection of enemies you're going to use, and you launch into the game. And the game basically it will generate waves of enemies that are adapted to your heroes, and then you basically fight them, and whatever. And as you fight, oh my god, it's so cool. You basically fight the enemies, and then you can grab tokens, and you can earn XP, and you can grab gold. And then after the mission, you essentially you record what happened, and then your heroes will level up. So as they level up, they can improve their stats, they can have better quality, they can improve their casting, they can increase their toughness, whatever. And then you also get gold, and then with the gold you can buy upgrades for a hero, and you can buy consumables. Yeah, that's actually another new concept that you don't have in the other games. Consumables basically are potions, elixirs, and bombs, which are like one use items. So you'll buy a potion, you'll drink it, heal whatever it is, remove 3 wounds, restore 3 wounds, and then chuck the potion, and it's done. Um, yeah, so if you're a new player, first off, welcome. But if you're a new player to Age of Fantasy Quest, it has a little bit of a learning curve compared to the other games because it's different from the other games, right? So you have to adapt to new things. Something I highly recommend is, well, first off, have fun. It's a game that's meant to be fun. So don't stress about things too much. If the game is too hard for you, just put fewer enemies on the table. If the game is too easy, start putting more. Increase the difficulty level. Um, and yeah, a couple of tips for new players. So there's a couple of cool things that your heroes can do that you cannot do in the other games. So number one, like I said, you can use skills. All the different skills can do cool stuff. So make sure to check out your class skills. That basically, they allow you to push enemies and stun them, or deal extra hits, or stuff like that. You can also and all of this is basically done through suffering stress, right? So you suffer stress. That's basically how many things you can do. You can suffer stress to take extra actions, which basically means that each activation a hero gets to do an action, like not always. He gets to do a free skill action, so use a cool skill, and then you can spend some stress, or you can suffer some stress to take an additional action, which basically means that compared to enemy AI, which are like the enemy models, you can actually activate twice, which is very cool. So that's a good way to like get an advantage over the enemies. Another thing that you can do is you can use different skills. Like there's the focus skill, which basically gives you +1 to your next roll. So that's a great thing. If if you're going to charge an enemy, maybe you want to focus first and charge them, and then have +1 to your quality, and hit them harder. Or the other way around, you can do it defensively, right? Like at the end of your activation, you focus, and basically when you get attacked, you're going to get +1 to your next defense roll. So that's really cool. Another thing that you can do is you can use a push action to essentially push and stun enemies. Well, shake enemies, I suppose. Which helps you basically deal, like, okay, you have like a really tough enemy that you're not going to be able to kill this round. Okay, push them, try to get them shaken, and if you manage, then at least they're kind of like stuck for one round, and you don't have to worry about them. And don't forget, like, you have all the information. The AI does nothing, right? So when you're playing against the AI, when it's the turn of the enemies to activate, they basically follow a very simple tree. Like they say, okay, you go to a certain point. they go towards a certain point. If they see a hero that they can shoot, they will shoot. If they can see a hero that they can charge, they will charge. If they can't, they will rush towards the closest hero. It's very basic. It's just simple enough that you can like get playing, and this, right? So the whole point of the game is like you're meant to understand and mess with the AI, so you can know like, okay, I'm on the objective, but if I stay here and there's like a huge group of enemies, they're just gonna destroy me. So let me just go hide behind the building. Then they don't have line of sight to me, and then they will just run past me and they will go somewhere else. That's a cool way to like deal with enemies and avoid them and whatever. Anyway, it's a great game. Go check it out. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I actually have more slides. Sorry, I just started, gloating about the game and forgot that I have more slides. So let me keep going. So, okay, let me talk about the release model. So, like I said, go grab it. The game is completely free. Quick thing. Two quick things. Quick things. Whatever. So, number one, to play the game, you can grab the core rules and you can grab um, the campaign builder. Both of these are completely free, and basically with them the core rules are teaching you how to play the game, and the campaign builder basically helps you build a campaign. The game is played as a campaign, so you play consecutive missions, and it will tell you like, how do you set up your objectives, how do you set up your search tokens, how do you set up your enemies, and just how do you get playing. If you want, you can get the beginner's guide. The beginner's guide includes all the core rules and includes all of the campaign builder. So if you don't want to have two documents, if you prefer the more expanded beginner's guide, go grab the beginner's guide. It contains everything. And everything that I'm just mentioning is for free. Everything on the app is for free. Enjoy all the free stuff, yes. And Okay, and with this, you basically have infinite play. You make your own campaigns, you can play infinitely, and that's great. Then, how does the actual release model work in terms of things you can buy? So, number one, on Patreon, we are releasing. So this month we released 4 hero models. You can see them here. It's the Empire Ranger, the Beastman Wizard, the Saurian Fighter, and the Ratman Cleric. And these will be part of the welcome pack. So whoever joins the Patreon from now on, they will always be in the welcome pack. So you just get those 4 heroes. Then every month we are going to be releasing one new hero. So, I don't want to spoil them. Whatever. There's new heroes coming every month, so you can look forward to that. That means so just this year, so in 1 year, if you join OPR Patreon, you basically get 12 heroes, one every month, plus the 4 welcome packs. So that's already 16 heroes for you to play with. Lots of variety in there. And these, of course, will then be available as digital files on My Mini Factory, and they will also be available for physical print and for buying as physical things, whatever. And they're just cool models. If you want to use them for other things, feel free. If you play RPGs, they're really cool. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is narrative campaigns. So so far I have no plans to do an advanced rules book for Age of Fantasy Quest. Honestly, I feel like it's a game that is already dense enough where you don't really want to or need to add additional rules. Instead, what really drives this game is campaigns, right? So what we're going to do is instead of releasing an advanced rulebook, we are going to be releasing campaigns. How does this work? So there is a narrative campaign. Oh, and I can show you now already. Ba-bam. Okay, there's a narrative campaign that's already out this month. If you subscribe to Patreon, you're gonna get it. It's called Out of the Shadows, and basically it's centered around the Shadow Stalkers. And so what happens is during each month of the Shadow Stalker release, we are going to expand the campaign by chapter. So first month you get chapter 1, second month you get chapter 1 and 2, third month you get chapter 1, 2, and 3, and so on and so forth. And it also comes with the villain. So whenever you subscribe, you're going to get as much of the story as has been released so far, plus this villain model. Yeah, and basically this is the idea for how it's going to go on from now on. So basically, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Basically, we added 4 new models to the welcome pack. We are adding 1 new model to the release every month. We're adding 1 new narrative campaign chapter to the release every month. We're also adding 1 new villain every month, and this is at no additional cost. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, this is all yours. We are not raising the price. It's still $5 for the tier 1, $10 for tier 2. We have no plan to increase the price for this stuff. And yes, the game is out now already. Now, one thing important. The narrative campaign will only be out on drive through and stuff like that, and my mini factory if you want the models, once the full campaign is released. So once all 5 chapters have been released, then after that it's going to be released as a full bundle on a full campaign on drive through and stuff like that, which basically means that you're having early access to it whilst it's being released. Now, sorry, I was meant to say this before. I forgot. I'm too excited. So I know that there are people that are not very happy about the fact that the game uses the Army Forge app. Um, Worry not. You do not have to use Army Forge for anything but the creation of the heroes. So what you can do is you go to Army Forge, you create your heroes, and there's a convenient print button. You click on print, you select the heroes that you want to print, and it will print out all the heroes for you so you can have them in paper, and then you can draw on the paper and do whatever. Also, when you print the heroes, there's a checkbox there that you can click to be like print the entire shop. So if you want a page that references that has a reference to uh, all the potions, elixirs, and bombs, you can have that as well. Same thing for the armies, for the collections of enemies. You can do it two ways actually. You can either print the PDF where you literally build, you can manually build the entire collection one by one as you get from the regular PDFs, or you can build your collection in Army Forge and print the whole collection. So the game is completely playable just as pen and paper. The only thing that is not available is the hero creation. So between missions, yes, you will have to go back to the app and say, hey, I earned this much XP. Do I level up? Yes. Okay, here's my choice, and it's done. It's super quick. It means that if you spend 5 minutes on 10 minutes maybe creating your first hero, and then afterwards 5 minutes between missions just updating things, you're gonna have to use the app a couple of minutes a month essentially. We know that some people wish that we could have the hero creation also in paper form, but basically it's complicated because the whole way that the hero creation works and the way that leveling up works is dynamic. There are so many factors that basically dictate what you can take, how much it costs, what the final point value is of the hero, and so on and so forth. That doing it as a PDF and having it be accurate is impossible. We have considered, and we are keeping it in mind, but again, no promises. We are considering maybe having a PDF version of the hero creator that is essentially completely inaccurate. So if somebody says like, "Look, I don't want to use the app. I want to have it as a PDF." I guess we could provide it, but it will be completely inaccurate. The point cost of the heroes will be completely inaccurate. You see, I hope you understand why I'm very hesitant about releasing something like that, because for those that are not in the know, right, they will open it, they will see it, they will say like, oh, there's a way for me to do it with the PDFs. They will not realize, even if we write it there, they will not realize that okay, it's like this is a screwed version of the game. Not very great experience. Anyway, sorry, I'm skipping back and forth. The final thing, Grimdark Future. We know people want the Grimdark Future version. Don't worry, it's coming. Right now, the plan is that it's going to be called Grimdark Future Heroes. Honestly, I'm slightly tempted to call it Grimdark Future Quest as well, but I'm not sure. Anyway, the idea with Grimdark Future Heroes is essentially that it's going to be Quest, but for Grimdark Future. That makes sense. So, exactly the same concept, right? So you build your heroes, you buy your equipment, that you can have consumables, they can level up. You build collections of enemies, you go on missions, you spawn waves of enemies, you find tokens, treasure tokens. Honestly, just like you can expect from the other games, to keep things familiar, it's gonna be like, I don't want to say a 1-to-1. The games are slightly different, but it's gonna be 95% um, the same game, so that you can very easily switch between them, and also so that if you want to, as usual, you can mix them. So if you wanted to have, some cool scenario where, hey, I have this big army of Saurians, but I have these really cool 4 Eternal Dynasty heroes. Well, I want my 4 Eternal Dynasty heroes to go through a time portal or something and end up in Dino Land, and suddenly they're shooting dinosaurs. You will be able to do that. So yeah, My God, I spent so much time talking about this. I am halfway through my slides and already almost an hour in. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you like it. I'm excited about it. The community seems excited about it as well. And yeah, we're gonna keep growing this. Oh, and by the way, just gonna throw it out there. That means that once the Grimdark version comes out. Oh, by the way, sorry, I'm jumping. Grimdark Future release not fully, but I'm thinking October. Not 100% sure, but I'm thinking October. Anyway, once the Grimdark version is out, that means we will be having 8 heroes in the welcome pack. We're going to be having 2 heroes additionally coming out every month, one for fantasy, one for sci-fi. We're going to have 2 campaign chapters coming out every month, one for, and we're going to have 2 villains every month. All of this additional stuff completely added to your Patreon subscription for free. No additional charge. It's still $5 for tier 1. It's still $10 for tier 2. You're welcome. Enjoy. Okay, cool. Now let me move on to the next thing, which is, oh my god. Okay, we go for one big thing to another huge thing. All right. Well, how do I put this? Well, I'm excited to announce that we are going to be releasing Assault on Malhadra coming to you in July. So, what is Assault on Malhadra? If you have been with OPR for a while, this name might sound slightly familiar, and I will explain why. So, basically, for a long time, we've been releasing missions just randomly. We've been releasing missions on on our Patreon, and then every I think it's 18 months, every year and a half, we basically collect all the missions that we have, and we make a little pack, and then we release them. And they're fine, they're cool, sure, but we felt that there was something lacking. And so our plan basically is so okay, sorry. So what was lacking? It basically had no context. It's just here is a pack with no story, no cool art, no reason for you to really play besides just, hey, here's 18 missions, go and whatever. And they're completely disjointed. They have nothing to do with anything, whatever. And so we said, okay, this can't be. We can do better. We can do much better. So Assault on Malhadra. What is Assault on Malhadra? Basically, Assault on Malhadra is the remaster, if you want to put it in video game terms. It's the remaster of the All Out Assault mission pack for Grimdark Future Firefight. So, coming to you in July, we're going to be launching a Frontiers sometime mid July, I think. Ugh, don't quote me on that. It's going to run for about 2 weeks. And basically, what's going to be is you're going to get the mission pack, but completely remastered. So, new cover art, but more importantly, completely new things on the inside. Well, beside the missions, I suppose. So, basically, what happens is we are going to be splitting the book in two, kind of essentially you're getting double the content. So at the beginning of the book, we are basically creating a whole narrative of this assault on Mahadra. This whole Mahadra is this planet. It's like this desert planet that was basically it was basically abandoned. It was kind of like lost, and nobody could find it. And then it suddenly showed up on people's radars. And now it's back. I don't want to go too far into the story. I don't want to spoil. And essentially, the robot legions, dwarf guilds, blessed sisters, and change demons find themselves on Malhadra fighting for something. I don't want to spoil. Um, and so, what does this mean? We basically added a bunch of art to the book, a bunch of story. You're gonna get basically an overview of the conflict, like what was the conflict about, how did it play out, who were the major players, and stuff like that. Then you're gonna get an overview of the actual planet. So what are the planets, what are the locations, cool art telling you where things are happening. Then you're also going to get like spotlights of specific locations with cool art and stuff like that. And then also you're going to get the spotlights of the 4 heroes that took part in the Malhadra campaign. And essentially it's and then you get 18 missions which now have been, so it's the same 18 missions as before but now have been revamped. They have, the story has been changed a bit to fit this thing. They have been put in chronological order so that you can literally play the whole campaign for Malhadra from beginning to end. And you can play it as a campaign. There's rules in there on like how do you do level ups and stuff like that. And essentially, so the idea is if a narrative campaign is like an action movie, a mission pack we are treating like a war documentary, right? So instead of being like, hey, here's a beat by beat of like you read the story, you play the mission, you have a battle, and stuff like that. It's more like we are presenting the setting to you, we're presenting the history, like how did this conflict start, what happened during the conflict, what were the locations, what who were the major players and stuff like that, so that then you can essentially play through this campaign that happened, like a historical recounting, right? It's like playing a World War II game where it's like, okay, let's replay the Battle for Normandy. Very exciting. So, what does the campaign come with? Well, besides the actual mission pack, so with all of the story and the missions, which by the way, I think it's now doubled in content. I think it was about 20 pages before, and now I think it's like 40 pages. So basically, double the content. Um, Besides the mission pack, it also comes with the 4 heroes. So we are actually making the 4 hero models. I don't want to present them all, but you can see them here. We have basically on the top left, we have Sister Constance. On the top right, we have Haldrun, I think that's his name. On the bottom left, we have Echo, and on the bottom right, we have Swiftclaw. And basically, you are gonna have these actual 4 heroes, so you can print them, you can paint them, you can have fun, you can play with them. You also have the opportunity to buy packs of models for those factions. So it's like, hey, like I've never played, I don't have a Change Demons army, I don't have a Robot Legions army, but I love them. I want to play this mission pack. So you can get the mission pack, you can get the army, and yeah, basically then you can start playing. Couple important things. So we are listening to your feedback on how we've been running Frontiers campaigns. We've listened to your feedback on Tisha. We listened to your feedback on Worlds Beyond. We are improving how we are doing the campaigns. We're trying to make sure that as much as possible, the price is as equal as possible between the bundles and the add-ons. So, if somebody says, hey, like, I'm buying the bundle with the 2 armies, but I only want 1 army, and so I'm just buying the add-on. We don't want you to be, because I remember with Tishal there was a bit of a problem there where people felt like the value wasn't there as much as they wanted to. So we're trying to give you the best value possible. We're gonna give you a bunch of options of different things you can buy and like how you can combine things. So essentially, the idea right now is to kind of make it like almost like a do-it-yourself starter kit or whatever, where it's like, okay, I want Malhadra, I want the Change Demons, I want the Dwarf Guilds, boom, let's go. Or you can do all in and you can be like, look, I want all the armies. I think all the armies are awesome, so go grab them. Yeah, the campaign is gonna run probably for 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, I think it's for 2 weeks. And then after that, the it goes back on my mini factory, it goes back on drive through RPG, so you can buy it, you can play it, and whatever, in case you missed the campaign. Important thing, once again, OPR trying to do the most. If you already own the All Out Assault mission pack, we will upgrade your mission pack document, not the minis. We'll upgrade your pack document for free. If you bought this a year ago, if you bought this a month ago, if you buy it today, if you want to, or if you bought it 6 months ago, whatever, it doesn't matter. When this is released on Drive Through RPG, we are going to upgrade your pack for free. So you're gonna get the remaster completely for free with all the new story, with all the new art. It's on us. Okay, I think I've rambled about Malhadra enough. Again, super excited. It's we're it's very cool. We're doing so many new things, and I'm really happy that with every new project that we're doing, we are um, we are um, we are pushing the uniqueness of OPR. We are pushing our factions. We're pushing our style. We're pushing our lore, our stories, and also, and I don't want to spoil too much. As more and more of these stories and things come out, you will notice how they are all connected. Kind of. I don't want to spoil it too much, but there is a connection. There's a bigger, let me say that there's like a bigger saga going on. There's lots of things happening here, both for fantasy and for sci-fi, and all of these are small pieces for that. Yeah, I'm very excited about Malhadra. Like I said, I feel like I said it 10 times. This is, I think, my God, if you think about it, this is like the fourth or fifth new thing we're releasing this year. So like we started releasing short stories this year. We restarted releasing narrative campaigns. We started releasing world books. We started releasing quests, so like skirmish, RPG, campaign stuff, and now we're also doing mission packs, and there is more new stuff coming this year, so it's kind of crazy. Another thing, you can expect that, of course, eventually we're gonna do mission packs for fantasy as well. So we're gonna do all the games, right? Grimdark, Firefight, Fantasy, Skirmish, and stuff like that. I don't think we'll ever make mission packs for Quest. It doesn't really make sense within the context of Quest. Who knows? Maybe one day. I know for you Warfleet fans out there, maybe one day, once we have the model, once we have the things, we can actually make a mission pack for Warfleet and an area campaign. But that's still, that's still in development hell. Let me put it that way. And Yeah. So as you may or may not know, there is essentially already there are 4 mission packs that have already been released and are available on drive-through, and those are all going to be remastered. And we also have 4 additional mission packs already in the pipeline to do. The release, it's going to take a while to release these. We don't want to release them all the time, but I would expect that probably you can yeah, I would say you can expect at least 1 mission pack for each universe per year. That's kind of like our goal, right? So, one for Grimdark, one for fantasy, narrative campaigns, have at least one for Grimdark, have at least one for fantasy, stuff like that. And then more stuff to come. All right, let me move on. Okay, so let's go. Woo! Okay, so that was studio updates. Now let's go to Patreon. So what's coming next? By the way, don't forget that there is a big reveal coming at the end of this stream. Kind of crazy. I feel like isn't Malhadra technically a big reveal? Well, another reveal will be coming. All right, so let's take a look at what models you're gonna get for Shadow Stalkers in July. So July, second month for Shadow Stalkers. In June, we kind of wanted to focus on your basic, more fighty troops. And whereas in July we wanted to start focusing on for the second release, we wanted to start focusing on slightly more support troops. So what are you getting? So the big draw that you can see here is you're gonna get the Specters. Yes, the Specters. Yes, the Specters basically introduce a new type of anatomy into the army. So you have the Stalkers, which are they have like legs and tails, whereas the Specters are kind of like ethereal, kind of. So they're made of like these smoke things, and you can see all the Specters here. The unit comes with 5 poses, 2 weapon options. They come with wands or with staffs. It comes with a command group, so you have a sergeant, a musician, and a banner. And that's basically your main, let's say, infantry unit that's coming out in July. Then in the bottom center, you can see the Spectre Champion. So a cool hero for the Spectres. It comes also with a wand and with a staff, and actually also comes with an option for a buddy. So there's going to be a cute buddy there. And then so that's your main unit. Then we have okay, woo, this one's cool. So like I said, we're focusing on more support or elite whatever troops for the second release. So you're also going to get the Butchers. The Butchers, I love this unit. The Butchers are huge. They're like 50 millimeters tall, and they're essentially like your Shadow Stalker, let's say ogres. They're really big. They're nice. They're meant to be. They're kind of chunky, but they're not chunky, if you know what I mean, because they're stalkers. So the stalkers are always like slim and tall. And yeah, they come with a bunch of cool stuff. So they come with great swords and great axes. They also come with maces and a flail. And then you also have the option to give them all throwing spears or throwing javelins. I don't remember exactly what they're called. Maybe they're called heavy javelins or something like that. And on top of that, you also get a sergeant. You can see him at the bottom. Really cool unit. Really excited to have like big, nice, chunky guys in the army. And then, yeah, so this is a lot of stuff. And then finally, you're also going to get your first big monster, which is the Terror. Unfortunately, the model is still in the works. I already spoke about this early this month. We're still trying to catch up. We've been going through a lot of issues that we're slowly trying to get back on our feet. I'm really happy that the team managed to have basically everything except for one model ready for the preview right now. Anyway, the Terror, you don't see it here exactly, but it's basically a big monster with a rider. The rider comes with multiple options. You can have like different heads and stuff like that. Very cool model. Excited to see it. Yeah, if you wanted a big chunky guy for your stalkers, here it is. Okay, so that's the Shadow Stalkers for July. Let's take a look at the High Elf Fleets for July. So High Elf Fleets for July, we continue with special units. The main infantry stuff has already been released, so now we're just going special, special, special. All right, so there are two main units you are getting this month. If you look on the left side, you can see these guys with these big masks and big coats and big guns. These are your I forgot the name. They are your Revenant? No, they're not the Revenants. They are the. If somebody can help me, put it in the chat. They're basically like your heavy support guys. So they come with male heads, female heads, and cool masks. So have options there. They come Vanquishers. Thank you. So the Vanquishers. They also come with a cool buddy, and they come with two weapon options. So they come with missile launchers, and they come with I think it's shatter cannons or shard cannons. I don't remember the names. Sorry. Anyway, really cool guys. They come with a little buddy. So you're gonna get the unit. Then you're also going to. Oh, and I think it's 5 poses. Sorry. So 5 poses. And then two weapon options. Then you're also gonna get the Vanquisher hero. You can see him at the bottom. I think it's the guy that basically has like his big gun and he's like pointing. And this guy also comes with different weapon options, I think. And yeah, really cool unit. I have to say, it's funny how I feel it's such a simple unit. When you think about it, it's not that different from other high elf fleet units. They have their robes, they have their capes, they have their hair. But I just really love these masks and these ears. I think they feel really, really badass. And I also have to say, I'm really happy that like now, as more and more of these special units come out, the whole vibe of the faction is really coming together, and I can see that the community is getting it. I can see people are really understanding what the whole faction is about, which is it's lovely. Then on the right side, you can see the shifters. The shifters are basically your sort of like ninja guys. They come with different weapon options as well. They come with these like dual hand guns. I don't remember what they're called. Sorry. Oh, the spinner guns. They come with these spinner guns. They come with helmets, no helmets, male, female, all that stuff. They come with 5 different poses. Then they also have a one of the poses can also have special weapons. They can have like these sort of like picks, which are really really cool. And then you can also buy. You can also have some other weapon upgrades. You can get I think it's called a spinner carbine, and you can also get a spinner. I think they're called spinner. Are they called web? I don't remember. You can get like a heavy spinner gun and like a spinner carbine, whatever. Lots of weapon options, but also really cool. If you check out, in the center and then on the right, you can see that they get a really cool buddy. So one of the cool things about the shifters is that they basically teleport, and we wanted to find a way to represent this that was not like on the model itself. So we did it with the buddy. So we basically have two versions of the buddy. One buddy like jumping into the portal, and you have one buddy coming out of a portal, which I thought was really cute. So this is the main unit, which has this ninja vibe. And if you look at the bottom, right next to the Vanquisher Lord, on the right, you have the Shifter Lord, which basically is like the hero version. So he has a really cool pose. I feel like he feels really imposing. He has a couple of different options, and he has like these really cool, sort of like stinger arms or whatever on his backpack, which I think give him like a really cool vibe and make him stand out from the rest of the unit. So these are your basic stuff that you're going to get. Oh, well, here you can see even more of them. On the left, you can see more of the Vanquishers with their missile launchers. And on the right, you can see more of the Shifters. Yeah, very cool stuff. Oh, yeah, in the top right, you can see the heavy spinner gun. All right. Anyway, let's keep going. What else are you gonna get? Oh, the last thing you're going to get for July is also the High Elf Walker. So yeah, I think this is really interesting because once again, really we are doing our own thing with our armies, and I really love how the Walker came out because instead of the Walker being a chicken walker or a guy with arms or whatever, we wanted it to feel like, okay, how does it make sense with the army? So The way you have the little turrets for the guardians for the protectors, and then you have the artillery. The walker essentially is an artillery on stilts, so it's really tall. It reminds, of course, of um, the tripod walker from the Robot Legions. There's meant to be that connection there, and it comes with all of these cool options on top, and all of its guns are like twin guns. So it can really devastate the enemies. I don't see it here in the render, but basically this guy also comes, of course, with an apprentice, as you know, or an adept. Fuck, I forget the names. But basically, in the high elf fleets, the machines are not sentient or whatever. They're controlled by these sort of low level wizards, these low level casters, and so you're also going to get a controller to go with this. Yeah, if you want to imagine the way it works, it's like this walker does not walk alone on the battlefield. It always comes with a little guy that's actually controlling it. It's directing its fire, it's directing its movement, and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, that's the high elf fleets for July. Yeah, I'm trying to speed things up because we're over an hour in, and I still have a bunch of slides. Then we have the legendary preview for July. So for a while we have been doing the epic soul demons for the various demon factions. As you know, we already did the war one, the change one, and the plague one, and then we took a small break because we wanted to give a bit more variety. And also we had to catch up on some things, whatever. And now we have the final one, which is the Epic Soul Demon of Lust. Here you can see the bottom, so he comes like with this really cool base, which has like these masks on it. You can see its ornamentation. It has like these snake. It really has a snaky theme all over it. And then we can check out, we can check out the main guy. So yeah, he comes with a really cool spear. He has this. I really love this concept that we brought into the Lust Demons, where they have these snake guys. Like the Furies have snake heads, and the Soul Demon has a snake head. He has a super cool gun, the triple gun that also has a snake face on it. He also has like this really cool. You cannot see it from this angle very well, but he has a very cool, like screaming mouth shoulder pad. That looks really awesome. He has a cool spear. He has this big contraption on the backpack, which again I don't have a back shot of it, but like it has a banner and lots of like dangling jewelry and stuff like that. Yeah, overall a really really cool model, and a really really cool model, and I look forward to have it out. And with this, we have actually essentially finished this series of Soul Demons, Epic Soul Demons, which is cool. Which actually is gonna bring us back to a new series of things, which it shall be revealed soon. Okay, now we've looked at models, let's look at concept art for August. So, what's coming out in August for Shadowstalker? So, number one, like I said, in July you're gonna get the Butchers. Well, how can you have a unit without a hero? So, in August you're going to get the Butcher Champion. The Butcher Champion is basically like an even bigger, even more badass version of the Butchers. This guy is almost like a small monster. So we decided to kind of like release him in his own release to really give him the spotlight and not get lost within his unit. Yeah, really cool guy. We're gonna have a really cool pose, and it's gonna feel really imposing on the battlefield. Then you're also going to be getting so this is the Reaper on Great Flayer. We're gonna see the flayers in a second, but basically, flayers are these sort of like horse. You know what? Let me skip forward and then I'll skip back. Okay, you're also gonna get the flayers. So these are Reapers, Reapers on flayers. So the Reapers are, imagine like an elite version of a Scourge, if that makes sense. And then the flayers are basically sort of like horse-like monsters um, that they ride on, and basically it's a cavalry unit. Very cool. They have these flames and stuff like that, and these horns. They look really really cool. And so you're gonna get a unit of them. They come with I think with the sergeant, with the musician, with the banner. All the stuff that you expect from a cavalry unit. But then we're also going to release a hero to go with them, which is the hero on the Great Flayer. The Great Flayer, honestly, is such a cool, imposing model. You can basically treat this guy as his own unit. You can play him without his unit. He can just act as a monster on the battlefield. And so the Great Flayer is just like an evolved version of the regular flare with like a long neck. It's almost giraffe-like, but we'll talk about giraffes in a second. So yeah, really cool hero to go with his unit. Then we have, okay, these are the flares. Then we're gonna have the tormentors. Ooh, okay, the tormentors are very cool. I feel like the tormentors bring something to the army which you didn't really, for such a shadowy, skulking army. So far we've been releasing a lot of stuff that is, let's say, very upright. So here we have the tormentors. The tormentors are basically, they're kind of like these weird hybrid guys. They're sort of somewhere in between a stalker and like a scorpion. And so the whole concept of them is that they're like really hunched on the floor. Their anatomy has changed, so their back is stretched and it's kind of like bulking out. And then they have all of these, I don't even know what to call them, like bubbles of rot. It's not rot actually. It's like these blisters from the scorching sun because they're not used to the sun, whatever. And yeah, this is going to be a really cool unit. So I think it comes with 5 poses, and I think it also comes with a sergeant, which has like a special, I think a special weapon and a special tail. Yeah, don't. Yeah. Okay. Somebody said we'll talk about giraffes in a moment. Lamau, what? Well, Lamau happens now. Basically, check this out. Okay, so we're also going to be releasing the Great Horror, which is our second, let's say, big monster that we're releasing for the faction. And the Great Horror is essentially it's still in the family, kind of in the family of the flayers and the terror and stuff like that, but it's a side evolution where you have a flayer thing that evolved into having this really long neck, and so it really is like a giraffe. And then it has wings, and so you basically have, yeah, like a flying monster. This is a T6 model, so it's pretty big. I think it's like 70 millimeters. Plus, it's standing upright, so it's going to be really tall. And then with the wings, it's going to be a cool model. Yeah, really cool pose, really cool model. I don't know what else to say. It looks awesome. I really love it. So yes, that was the giraffe I was talking about. Okay, now let's move on to High Elf Fleets. Okay, High Elf Fleets. So High Elf Fleets for August is gonna be our jet bike month. We decided that we wanted to have, instead of like spreading and sprinkling jet bikes here and there, we said, okay, let's just have a month where all you get is like a bunch of really, really cool jet bikes. So the first thing you're gonna get is the Jet Bike Elite. Essentially, a hero on a jet bike, and he has like a special jet bike that's ornamented and has like cool wings and stuff like that. So that's your hero jet bike. Then you're going to get the jet bike acolytes, or the acolytes on jet bikes. So this is a unit of 3 models, and it's like, I mean, I guess it's kind of like what you expect from an acolytes jet bike unit, right? So you basically have acolytes, yes. Which, if you don't know, the acolytes are like a step below the oracle and a step above the apprentice, and so they're basically like your most common wizards caster guys. Yeah, and so they're on these bikes. The bikes have these cool elemental spikes in the back. They have like machine gun stuff, and they have like melee weapons. It's yeah, sometimes showing off the concept art of vehicles is kind of tough because it's so static. It kind of looks boring. I hope you can imagine what this unit is going to look like when you have the actual acolytes on the bike and they're like leaning and then they have like a sword out and they're ready to strike. And yeah, it's going to be a very cool unit. Then we are also going to have the jet bike protectors. So this is kind of like your shooty jet bike option. It comes with different things. So it comes, of course, all the jet bikes have the little shard guns in the bottom that they can use. But then they also have, these guys basically have 2 options. So the back can be either a sort of turret. So it's like a turret with, I think you can have like a shard gun or shard cannon, and some other type of cannon. I don't remember. Or you can replace the turret, and it can actually have a seat for a sniper. So you can turn the shooty jet bikes into snipey jet bikes, if that makes sense. If you ever wanted snipers on a jet bike, you can have them. Then we have the jet bike strikers. Okay, the jet bike strikers are basically your melee version of the jet bikes. So their jet bikes are a little bit different. They're a little bit sharper. They're a little bit pointier. And again, as you can imagine, you have cool guys with different poses, like leaning over, and they have like spears or they have like swords, and they're really going for that melee vibe. And then the final unit that you're gonna get is the heavy jet bike, which, oh, here you can actually see it very well. Like on the bottom right, you can see what it's gonna look like in the end, which is essentially an evolution of the protector jet bike, where you have it's bigger, it's chunkier, you have a rider, and then in the back you have a guy that's basically a gunner, that's holding on to a turret and swivels around, and you can really imagine them like zooming around the battlefield and like so yeah. Cool. Okay, so this is the Hio fleets for August. Now, I think the next couple slides are going to be really exciting. So, all right, let's start with this. All right, so what you are seeing here is the legendary concepts, or what I'm going to show you now are the legendary concepts for August. Now, when we do legendary units, usually what we're doing is we're making one big monster. But one thing we've started doing, and I think the first time we did it was with the Blessed Sisters, and then we did it with the Jackals. What we started doing is having this concept of like, hey, what if instead of releasing one big monster, we basically release a diorama with a unit in it? So people have been asking us to make Saurian Deinonychus riders. So it's basically geckos on Deinonychus riders for a long time. Probably a year or two, forever, honestly. They ask us every month, they ask us every week, they ask us every day, let's be honest. So we said, let's do it. So what you're gonna get is you're going to get a whole diorama base, which has like slots where you can slot in your Deinonychus riders. The Deinonychus come separate, so you can use them as a unit. They're completely designed to be used without the diorama. The diorama is just an extra piece that you can have to have a really cool display. Or honestly, you can use it as a terrain piece if you want. So yeah, you're gonna get the diorama and you're gonna get the Deinonychus. So let's take a closer look at the Deinonychus. So you're gonna get, first off, you're gonna get the Deinonychus Sergeant. I don't remember exactly what it's called. I'm sorry. I think it's the Deinonychus Chief or the Gecko Chief on Deinonychus. And basically, yeah, here you can see the anatomy of the Deinonychus. So they're kind of like they're the slimmer, faster, more bird-like cousin of the raptors. So they're more feathered. They have beak-like, a beak on the face, whatever. They have beaks and they have like feathers on the back, and they have feathers on their arms and they have feathered tails. They look really cool. And then you can see that on the right, so that's the basic anatomy, and then on the right you can see the sergeant version or the hero version, which basically, he gets like a cool helmet and like a cool seat and a bunch of ornamentation, and then you're gonna have a gecko chief with a spear on the Deinonychus. Not only this, you are also going to get a full unit of Deinonychus riders. So basically, imagine like the chief. The Deinonychus is a little bit less ornamented. He still has a seat, but he doesn't have the mask, for example. And then you get the unit. You get the unit to go with it. So what does the unit have? It has 3 poses. I think it comes with multiple options. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this. I think they come with javelins and they come with spears. Not 100% sure. I would have to check the rules. I didn't check them before the call. Sorry. Okay, so you're going to get the 3 combat poses, which you can see at the bottom. And then you're also going to get the command group, of course. So you're going to get a sergeant. You're going to get a musician, and you're going to get a banner bearer. So that means that as a legendary for August, you're going to get the whole diorama. You're going to get the chief, and you're going to get the 6 Deinonychus riders, which is very cool. But we can do more. So on top of everything that I just described, you are also going to get the no, the slides are gone. You're also going to get the sci-fi version of it. I don't know where my slides are. Basically, well, I'm so sorry. I tried to make a big reveal, but yeah, what the hell? My slides are gone. Oh no, what is happening? I'm so sorry. I'm missing slides, and I have really cool stuff that I wanted to show you. Well, okay. This was the worst moment for this to happen. You guys are gonna need to give me a second for me to prep to prep the new slides and get them going for you. But it's gonna take me just a second. Here, where are the pictures? Man, that was yeah, that was a kind of a ball busting move right there. Here, okay, and this. It's gonna be just a minute. Don't you worry. All right, adding the updated presentation. Okay, give it a second. So as I was saying, in August you are going to get the diorama for the Saurians, for the Deinonychus. You are going to get the um, you're going to get the actual chief on Deinonychus, and then you're also going to get the unit. This is all for Saurians. Now you're also going to get on top of it the whole same thing, but for the Star Host, which means another diorama. So basically, you're gonna get the diorama adapted for sci-fi. So if you want the sci-fi version, bam, here it is. You're gonna have a sci-fi version of the thing, and you're also going to get the same sort of treatment. So you're gonna get the Deinonychus, the Gecko Chief on Deinonychus for the Star Host. So it has all of its sci-fi gear. It has like a sci-fi helmet and like other sci-fi elements. The rider has like a cool sci-fi spear. So really awesome right there. And of course, you also get a whole unit with it. So you're gonna get the sci-fi version of the Diconicus, which include three poses, and then I think they come with spears and shields, and then with pistols and shields. Oh, again, I'm so sorry, I don't remember all of them. Well, okay, big thing here. But what I'm trying to say is, instead of one legendary guy, you're gonna get two dioramas, two heroes, two units, all bundled in. They can be used on the diorama. They can be used off the diorama. Yeah, and I just think it's really cool. And we don't have a lot of other things like this that we're planning in the future, but I think this is, if we want to add a random unit here and there. If we want to add a random unit here or there, this might be a cool method to do it. Like, have a cool diorama with the unit, and do it as a legendary, do it as a loyalty reward. Um, Maybe not a loyalty. Well, it depends on the unit, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I hope this was exciting. So now we can move on. Yeah, it's been an hour and a half. All right, good. Now we can move on to the big reveal. Da-da-da. All right, so what's the big reveal for the next Patreon army? Basically, all right, the next Grimdark Future army on Patreon is going to be the it's the HDF, so Human Defense Force. Somebody already guessed it in the chat. Damn. Yeah, so coming to you in October, you're gonna get the Human Defense Force. The Human Defense Force is, it's our sci-fi humans army. And yeah, we've been working on this for a while. We have lots of ideas. So what I'm showing you right now is essentially the overview of the army. So it's basically just a bunch of cool ideas that we have. None of this is confirmed. I mean, okay, I doubt that the army is going to be completely different from what I'm showing you here, but there might be things in here that we change. There might be things here in here that whatever, you're not going to get. And all right, let me talk to you about the army as a whole. So when we wanted to create the HDF, we kind of looked at what is the lore for the HDF in Grimdark Future? How do they fit in the universe? Where do they come from, and so on and so forth. So we basically said, okay, so we have humans. We want to make them sci-fi. So we know that a lot of people, essentially take World War One, World War Two, maybe even Vietnam era, real life military armaments, suits, whatever gear, and then they just say like, well, we slightly polish it up and now it's sci-fi. We didn't want to go for that. We wanted it to actually feel totally sci-fi. So we went for a hard sci-fi look for the um, for the army. So you can expect them to have proper, proper breastplates. You can expect them to have proper helmets. You can expect them to have visors, microphones, some sort of sci-fi backpacks. All the sort of sci-fi stuff that you can expect. There's a lot of concepts that we can see in here, and a couple of things that how do we keep pushing towards the sci-fi edge? So all right, one of the things you can actually see it somewhere in the right. So if at the center, I'm going to try and orient you guys. So at the top center, you can see a guy with a rifle pointing down. This was basically the very first illustration that we made where it really was like, okay, this is what the HDF should feel like. And then starting from that, we developed the rest of the faction. So on the right side, you can see that there are three motorbikes. And basically, our thought was like, okay, we have cavalry units in the faction. We're not going to have horse riders. Horse riders make no sense within the HDF. So you're going to get back jet bikes. That's a way that we're making things sci-fi. Another way that we're making things sci-fi is if you look all the way to the left, you can see that there's like a really big guy with a big machine gun. And this is our ogre unit. So instead of having actual fantasy looking ogres with just, a helmet on top and whatever, we said no. Our ogres are big, chunky sci-fi guys. But if you pay close attention, to that guy, and also at the bottom, like slightly below and to the right of the main infantry guy, you can see some robots because that's a cool thing that we're bringing to the faction. We said, what is there more sci-fi than humanity having reached the Sirius sector and saying, holy hell, we can't just do it by ourselves anymore. We need to gear up. So they have geared up. So you're going to get a bunch of cool new stuff that is not in the army right now. This means new units for the HDF, which are completely exclusive to OPR. Mwah! This is the stuff that I love. So you're going to get grunts, which are called grunts, whatever. Grunt, whatever. You're going to see it once it's in the army. So basically, the grunt robots are an alternative infantry unit for the army. The whole concept is you're bringing robots in there. They're not humans, so they're not going to be scared. They're not going to run away. But they're more simple for us in the HDF. We wanted that our robots are completely non-sentient, so they're not like the robot legions where they have a conscience and whatever. They're purely machines. So you're gonna have the grunts, which are basically your they're kind of like a mainline infantry unit, but they have some trade-offs. They come in smaller size, so you don't have a unit of 10. They don't have any weapon upgrades, so they just have rifles, and they're essentially like a good unit to have. How can I put this? If your basic guys are not doing their job and you need someone that's a little bit more reliable, you can rely on the robots. They're still not perfectly reliable. They're still going to fall apart. Humans built them after all. But, you have something there. So, with the introduction of robots, we also had the opportunity to change a couple of other things to robots. So, if you look all the way to the left, like I said, there is this guy which is the ogre. But the ogre is not a guy, it's not a human in a suit. It's a big, chunky robot. So, we said, hey, if you have a regular sized robot, we need a big, chunky robot. So, that's our ogre unit. So, our ogres are basically support guys that come with big machine guns, big shields, and stuff like that. Um, Besides that, we also are introducing. Let me think. I'm trying to run down all the robot stuff that we have. So we have the basic robot grunts. We have the robot ogres. Oh, we're adding buddies. Of course, every army needs to have a buddy. So we're gonna add robot dogs. So you're gonna have cool robot dogs to go around with your units. And then we actually have two different versions of the robots. We have the grunt robots that are like your main robot, and then you're also going to have the crew robots, which are going with the artillery. So when you have the field artillery, you're going to have a crew robot that helps them out. We're also changing a couple of other concepts in the army. So for example, we are not going to have conscripts anymore. We're going to change conscripts to recruits. We didn't feel that the idea of a conscript really fit in the HDF. It just, with our lore, it doesn't really make sense to have conscripts. We've played around with the idea of being basically them being recruits or being a sort of militia and stuff like that. They're your basic guys. Other things that we're changing, we do still have energy swords. They're not going to have energy fists. Instead, they are going to have these sort of energy axes. We felt like a big chunky energy fist really didn't fit in the faction, and the axe felt more human and how do you say it? Like utility, whatever. Then what else you can see is, okay, if you look on the right, you can see a bunch of walkers. Now I'm gonna warn you already. On the top there is a chicken walker, and on the bottom there is a chicken walker. We are not making these. These are some early concepts. We have already decided we're not making these. Instead, we're gonna have proper walkers. So the idea is, hey, you're humans. You came from the Milky Way, so you brought a bunch of tanks. So you're gonna have your battle tank, you're gonna have your heavy battle tank, you're gonna have your super heavy battle tank. Lots of tanks. But you need something new. You need something to adapt to this new environment. So we're focusing on the walkers. Here, very much inspired by Titanfall, as you can see, we're gonna add a bunch of new classes of walkers. So we are going to have the light walker, which is right now in the army, and currently you cannot see it here, but basically the light walker is a smaller, lighter walker that you can use to kind of like scout. Then we're going to have medium-sized walkers. We're going to have two types of walkers. I think one is called the combat walker, which you can see around here, which is the guy with the shield and the minigun and like the sword. So basically it's a sort of melee oriented walker, a closer range walker. Then you're going to have, so on the bottom right, what you're actually seeing is a new type of Titan, which is the Titan, the tactical Titan walker. I think that's what it's called. What, a walker, tactical Titan, whatever, tactical Titan, which is basically a huge robot. Which it's so big, it doesn't just have its big ass gun. It also has a tank cannon on top. And then there's actually like a smaller version of something kind of like this, which is your tactical walker, which is more like shooty. So basically, you have the light walker, which is your scout. Medium sized, you have your combat walker for melee, your tactical walker for shooting, and then you have your Titan walker, which is just a badass. Okay, let's move on. I actually have a lot more slides for you. I don't know why I'm just sticking to this one. Yeah, lots of cool stuff coming. Oh my god, I'm very excited about this faction. Then we have more exploration here. You can see lots of different things we tried. On the top, you can see lots of examples of symbols. We were very much inspired by the HDF. Is meant to be a sort of EU/NATO kind of sci-fi version of that. So we are trying to find symbols that make sense for that. I think we already came up with a final symbol, and it's none of the stuff up here. So this is a little bit older, but still pretty cool. Then you have in the center, you can see lots of exploration for the infantry. You can see we were starting to explore on the left. First, it was feeling a bit too robotic, and then in the center, you can see more of what we're landed on. So these are infantry that like your mainline infantry. They have some armor, they have helmets, they have like knee pads and maybe like elbow pads, but they're not too armored. You can see some recruits on the right, so much lighter equipped. You can see some snipers. You can see possibly a hero. Honestly, I'm not really sure. I don't really like the concept of this hero. It reminds me too much of, I don't know. It just doesn't feel HDF. You can see the robots, some of the robots at the bottom, and different ideas. Sorry, different ideas for heads. And then on the bottom left, you can see a bunch of variations of stormtroopers. The stormtroopers being your guys in, I mean, it's, let's say it's the HDF version of battle armor. It's not that armored, but it's there. Um, Yep, so that's your basic stuff here. Then what else we got? Oh, guns. Okay, here you can see lots of different guns. On the top left, you can see a bunch of pistols, different designs, and I can take you through this a little bit. So basically, our concept was that we wanted to have a distinction between a regular weapon, like a regular pistol or rifle, and a heavy rifle. That's a distinction that we have in the faction. So the way you can see this if you look at the top left and then a bit to the right, you can see the rifles. You can see how we changed them. So basically, like the regular rifles are slimmer and they have like horizontal lines, and like the magazine is fed horizontally, whereas the heavy rifles are more chunky, blockier, and the magazines are fit vertically. Am I saying this correctly? Diagonally? Whatever. Yes, stuff is diagonal. Whatever. Then on the left, you can see this concept, and in the pistols, you can see a basic pistol, a fusion pistol, a plasma pistol. Right now, we have the concept of the drum rifles in the faction. Originally, this was, I guess, the original inspiration was kind of like a Tommy gun that has like a big drum, but then we said that a Tommy gun, it just that doesn't feel HDF. So we basically have these sort of revolver guns, and these are like our drum pistols and drum rifles. And then you can see a heavy pistol, which is just really chunky, and it's meant to be like a sort of HDF Desert Eagle. Then if we go down, so I'm literally going from top left to down, then you can see the fusion rifle. This follows our, yeah, maybe you guys don't know, but like we actually have a sort of design language for weapons across all factions. So fusion rifles usually have a sort of like claw design in the front, and they're kind of blocky, and you can really see it here. There's like this big claw. Then you can see the drum rifle. Drum rifles are meant to be, well, drum rifles fall into the category of shred weapons. Shred weapons are meant to have lots of small repetition. So if you look at the dwarf guilds, for example, they're guns that come with like lots of little like crystals and stuff like that. Whereas in the Eternal Dynasty, they're guns that come with lots of like little, almost like pistons attached. And in the HDF, we had this idea of like, oh, we use the drum, like this revolver style drum, where you can see like all the different ridges and really give you this vibe of like the repetition, I guess. Plasma rifle are meant to be kind of like round, so you can see that there's round. Then if we go back up, we have rifles and heavy rifles. Not much to explain there. We have an energy axe and an energy sword, like I explained before. Oh, we have a laser rifle. We thought, people love the concept of the laser rifle, but we thought a laser rifle should feel like a laser rifle. Like it should be shooting a laser. Like in our game, a laser is a long distance AP3 deadly 3. Like you're using it to pierce a tank. And so we were like, okay, we're gonna add a new special weapon for the infantry, which is the laser rifle. I think it's like a 36-inch A1 AP3. Essentially, it's like, hey, do you want, or 30-inch? It's like, do you want to trade a bit of your AP for more range from like a plasma rifle? And that's how the laser rifle is. Then we have a shotgun, we have a flamer. What else to say? A grenade launcher, also a classic. We have the what's currently called a heavy volley gun. I think we changed the name, but basically it's like a machine gun. We have some sniper rifles, and then on the right side we can look and see a bunch of stuff for. Well, you can see some ogre stuff. You can see the shield for the ogres, the heavy baton, the heavy SMG, the mini grenade launcher, and then you can actually see a bunch of stuff for the weapon team. So when we were coming up with the weapon teams, we said, hey, um, we were thinking like, how can we make weapon teams that really feel, again, unique to OPR? And I didn't want to have the classic weapon team where like you're just planting a tripod and you're putting a gun on top and you have a guy behind it doing this. I don't know. I don't think it makes for really interesting poses. I think it's been done everywhere. Why should we do it again? And so we said, hey, what if we take the concept of the weapon team like we have it in the Ratman, where it's basically one guy back to back with another guy. And that way we have two guys manning a gun, and we can have something really interesting. Like, we can have a guy with a really heavy machine gun and some other guys there with like ammo, and maybe like the ammo is spilling out. Maybe we can do it kind of fun, or like, at least not just super boring where the guy's just statically standing there. We have this idea of maybe having guns that have like a team grip where like two people, like it's so heavy and powerful that two people have to hold it at once. I thought that was interesting. We can have the concept of the guy in the front holding the gun and the guy in the back having like a backpack with the ammo. Lots of things we can do. We can have a guy reloading from the back. Yeah, lots of things we can do. I thought this was very interesting. And yeah. Okay, somebody just said, I don't think heavy SMG is a proper denomination, but it still looks cool. I totally agree. These names were temporary. So basically, I guess I can bring you into a little bit of how we work. So when we're developing an army, what we usually do is we just take a look at the army list and we try to match everything. And then based on what we come up with, we will then change the names of things to match what actually ends up being in the game. So, this is a perfect example. Like right now, we have something called the heavy SMG, which I think then we designed to look almost like it basically looks like a Gatling gun. And I think it became the mini Gatling gun or something like that, or the light Gatling gun, or, something like that. And so basically, yeah, that's how it works. So this is a version of the concept before this is a version of the concept before we change the names. What else do we have for the HDF? I think we have one more slide. Yes. Okay. Okay. This is kind of outdated again. So this was very much exploration. Honestly, almost everything on this page is not going to be made like this. Maybe I shouldn't even be showing it, but here we are. I think the only thing that might still be remaining slightly design wise is the bike on the bottom left. I think the truck in the bottom middle, but I think it was changed as well. And then the tank on the bottom right. Yeah, these are changing. Honestly, I'm gonna switch away from this slide just so that you don't get confused. All right, what else do you need to know about the HDF before we finish this? Some units are being slightly changed. So we had like the special weapon guys, which is just like three guys holding special weapons. We're changing that unit. I think they're gonna be called like sappers or something like that. So we can, we're gonna make them look cool. They're not gonna look just like a regular guy, but holding a special weapon. We're gonna make a bunch of new heroes. We adapted some of the heroes to make sense within the HDF. So, for example, you don't have I think right now they have a psychic called. I don't remember what it's called, but basically we're changing to a much more sci-fi concept, and we're creating a psi hacker. So the idea is that basically it's somewhere between a psychic that uses technology to like hack into systems and stuff like that. So we have the psi hacker concept. Um, what else are we adding that's new? I think maybe that's it. I mean, it's already a bunch of stuff, right? Like you're gonna get robots, you're gonna get psi hackers, you're gonna get robot dogs, you're gonna get 3 new types of walkers, you're gonna get a new titan. Yeah, lots of stuff. Okay, whoo. Yeah, I think that's it about the HDF. One thing. Like I said, HDF releasing in October, so potential candidate to be also the first narrative campaign for Grimdark Future Heroes. Maybe, maybe. Who doesn't want to fight some HDF? All right, guys, let's go and wrap up this slide and go. All right, cool. So let's go for the Q&A. Right. So I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna go through. Basically, before the stream, there was like a poll, a form where you could go and you could put your questions. I'm gonna go through those questions, and then after that, where do I have the questions? Okay, here. After those, I will go check the chat again and answer any questions that have been put there. So if you have any questions that you want me to answer right now, well, now is the time for you to ask. And I will. Is this usually how I do it? I keep forgetting how I do it. I think I do it like this. Now is the time to ask your questions. So put them in there, and I will be back in a couple minutes after I answer all of these. All right. So first question that we have here: can you please share what similarities and differences we can expect between Age of Fantasy Quest and Grimdark Future Heroes? Like I was saying before, you can expect them to be very similar. So we want the games to be familiar. You will probably, honestly, in many ways, you could consider it a reskin. So we're gonna take all the fantasy class names and we're gonna change them to sci-fi class names. We're gonna take all the fantasy skills and change their names to be sci-fi skills. We're gonna take all the fantasy items and change them to be sci-fi items and all that stuff. And where the real difference in gameplay is going to come, besides those things, is where the real difference of gameplay is going to come is in the armies, right? It's the same way with the other games. At its core, Age of Fantasy and Grimdark Future are quote unquote the same game, right? The way that we see it is like they're basically a game running on the same engine, and then it's just separated in two different settings through different armies. And so Grimdark Future Heroes is going to be the same thing. You can expect the core engine and class systems and skills and equipment and all that stuff to be the same. And then the main difference comes from, like now all your heroes have rifles and pistols and shotguns, and you're fighting robots, you're fighting dwarves, guilds, you're fighting, Xenos, you're fighting aliens, you're fighting whatever. Okay. Are the faction names meant to be generic, like Robot Legion, Alien Hive, etc., or specific to Grimdark Future lore, like Dao Union, Eternal Dynasty, Saurian Star Host, etc.? It's interesting that you talk about this because I literally stayed up until very late last night to talk about names, because our plan is that in the long run we do want to change the names of the factions. This is something I've been talking about for a very, very long time. It's going to be a slow process, and it's going to be something that we're going to do very carefully. But over time, yes, we want to change the names of the factions to be more Grimdark Future lore specific, still familiar, but more specific to us, because we don't want, part of the issue that we see with people, not really considering OPR to have its own lore is because, for example, they see the names and they say, well, these are like, Aldi store names. And so we said, okay, like over time, we want to change those names. But again, we want to keep them very familiar. You don't expect. I was having a conversation with this about this with somebody just yesterday as well. Don't expect that. I think how did I put it? I had a good example. Like, um, I don't know. It was something like, don't expect orc marauders to suddenly be called, you know, bumblebees, fast boys. It's not going to be something crazy like that. It's still going to be recognizable. It's still going to be something that feels intuitive, but that is specific to us. All right, next question. Hi, I like to paint models, but I'm not the best at coming up with color schemes on my own. Where do you recommend I look for painted examples of OPR minis? Honestly, I mean, besides the monthly painting contest on Patreon. So you can go on Patreon every month. There is a painting contest. You can check out all the entries there. And also, if you go in on Patreon, you can just search. So if you search for all the posts that contain the words painting contest or painting contest results and stuff like that, you can find all of these posts. And so you can see hundreds of pictures of OPR models that are painted by now. But also, I think the best place is Instagram. Like, that's where people paint models and share them and tag them and stuff like that. I also see people post them on our Facebook group, posting painted models. Reddit as well. There's lots of places that you can go. Then, when Age of Fantasy Quest leaves beta, will we be able to store heroes in the cloud with our OPR accounts like we currently can with our army list? Yes, but not even after beta. It's something that we're working on right now. But we have lots of things going on. But it's somewhere in there in the priorities. So hopefully soon enough, your Quest heroes will be stored in the cloud, just like your army lists. Next question. Can you clarify if it is possible to produce paid content that uses OPR games as its core rules? Can we create? Okay. This is more of like a commercial question. Depending on what you're creating, how you're creating, whatever, it may or may not be possible. So the best thing is to contact us at info@onepagerules.com for any business related questions like this. That's the place to go. If Patreon takes more, this is the next question now. If Patreon takes more than some other services like Kofi.com, and if so, would you be willing to move paying services over to those, or even better, to your own site? We have no plans to move off Patreon, and honestly, we have no plans to open any additional subscription anywhere else. Like, we have no plans to open a Tribes. We have no plans to go on. There's a new one popping up called Thangs, I think. We have no plans to do something like that. We want to keep things. How can I put this? One of the core tenets of OPR is that things should be simple and straightforward. And I think already now things are kind of complicated, where it's like, okay, you go to Patreon for the subscription, you can buy the models on Miami Factory, you can buy the rules on Drive Through RPG, you can buy the printed models on Only Games, right? And you have all of these. You can buy the T-shirts on Teespring, and you have all of these separated entities, which is already quite complicated. And then now imagine if we suddenly have an additional one or even two or whatever subscription services, and then it's like, oh, should I? Then you get people confused, and then every day people will be asking, should I be subscribing to the Patreon, or should I be subscribing to the Tribes, or should I be subscribing to this? I'm not sure. What do you think is best? And then each one has its own problems. It's a mess. We want to keep things simple. And yeah, about moving services over to our own website, I don't know. Maybe in the really long run. Right now, it's a risk, right? Like we have a huge audience on Patreon. Whenever you switch services, and we saw this with a lot of people that switched from Patreon to Tribes or that opened a Tribe subscription, and we spoke to other creators about that as well. And like a lot of people had this experience where they switched over to Tribes, people, or they opened the Tribes, people moved over, didn't like the system, and then just dis- desubscribed, whatever, unsubscribed there, and never went back to Patreon. And it's like, are we? Do we really want to lose subscribers for what? To maybe make a couple more dollars on our own website? Eh, honestly, for me, the amount of money we make, the revenue, the profits is not everything. Of course, it's important, right? We're running a business, we have people to pay. We want to turn a profit. We want to make sure that the company has reserves so that it can be secure in the future, and all that stuff. It's great, but it's like, am I going to create a terrible customer experience just to make a couple more bucks? I don't really like it. If this is important, if we switch or we add any additional services, like for example, an additional subscription service, it would be because we are 100% sure that this is a boon for the community. It's a bonus for the community, that it's something that the community that is better for the community. Um, and yeah, that's kind of like our stance. If it doesn't feel like it's an improvement for you guys, and it's not something that like we must do because else the company's going to fall apart, then there's not a lot of reason for us to do it. Okay, that was the last question. I can remove this. Okay, I'm going now. Okay, I'm going to check the questions now. Oh, I see there's been a lot of questions. Okay, so let's see what people ask. Good afternoon. There's a guy in the OPR Facebook group who made art for the AOF mission cards, and believe me, this work is good, very good. Could you see it? I have seen it, and it looked cool. It, if I can give a minor criticism, it didn't look like OPR related art. It just looked art from somewhere else that was tacked onto the cards, which understandable. But you know, it was cool. We are planning to eventually update our mission cards with new graphics. It's just a matter of time. All right. This is not a question, but somebody said rending changed to just plus 2 AP on A6, poison just real defense of 6. No plans to change either of those right now. Would it be an option to add the concept art to the monthly releases? That's not something we're looking into for various reasons. But actually, if you want, we do release all of the concept art on our Patreon every month, and it's there for free. You don't even have to be subscribed to check it out. So every month you can see some of the concept art there. We don't post all of the concept art. There is an infinite amount of concept art out there. And who knows, maybe one day we'll make an art book and then you can check it out there. But yeah, we're not going to release the concept art like that. I guess that was a question. I'm sorry if I skipped it. Is there a way to port over or copy paste existing unit profiles in the Patreon unit builder to use as a template for a new unit? Within the same army, yes, and um, you can also duplicate your existing armies, but you cannot just be like, oh, I want to duplicate a Saurian warrior to my army list. You're just gonna have to do it manually. Um, mm, 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 mm. Question: will the Age of Fantasy Quest host eventually be able to trigger everyone else to go to the after mission screen? Right now it just puts it puts the host in the screen and leaves everyone. Oh, sorry. Right now it just puts the host in the screen and leaves everyone else in the lobby. I'm pretty sure that's not how it's meant to work. Please, literally copy paste this question and put it in the on Discord in the Army Forge bugs section. Just create a thread there, and then Adam can check it out and he can work on it. Are there plans? Oops. Are there plans? Are there plans to incorporate an equipment slash mount editor into the unit creator? You can already equip. You can already edit items and create your mounts in the unit creator. So all you need to do is when you create an upgrade package for a unit, you just have to put like a upgrade with 1, for example, and then when you click on add weapon or whatever it's called, add item, you will have the option. It will say add weapon, add rule, and add item. If you click on add item, you can put the name of the item. the name of the mount, and then you can add any special rules you want and any weapons you want. Um, mm, 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 okay, wait. A question: does the monthly painting contest include an army category? Yes, we do an army category, but at the end of an army release. So when at the end of the High Elf fleets, we're gonna have a new, just for that month, we're gonna have an army category, and then people can post their army, and then win prizes and whatever. We used to have the army category on a monthly basis, but it just didn't give people enough time to build a full army or whatever every month, and it just had almost no submissions on a monthly basis. So we switched to the new way that we do it, where we have like a solo unit legendary category, and the idea is that you can, imagine you paint a hero, you can put it in the solo category. You paint a unit, you can put it in the unit category, and then at the end of the release, you can take everything you've painted so far and put it in the army category. Can you submit an army not being currently released? No. Can you create a book editor tutorial if there isn't one already? I could have sworn that there was a tutorial. I have no idea. Was it removed? Honestly, post about this again in the Army Forge bugs thing, because I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in there, and it might be a bug that it was never enabled. Yeah. Question: I exclusively use paper minis. Do you have plans on releasing paper mini versions of the hero units for I guess you mean the Age of Fantasy Quest heroes? Yes, but I'm not sure exactly when. Uh, because there's a whole pipeline to making the paper minis, and we have lots of other things that we need to finish. But eventually, yes, we would love to do the hero units as well. Well, the hero quest heroes. Somebody asked, there are t-shirts? Yes, there are t-shirts. Go on our website, check out where it says shop. There's one called merch, and there you can check out the merch. Will HDF come with female model options? Yes, of course. We always do male and female whenever possible. Can we get community army lists to have multiple users who can edit them? Oof. It is something that we had considered at some point, but we never really implemented. I think at the time, we had other priorities, of course, but also at the time there was a lot of conflicts. Like, what happens when two people have it at the same time? How do you deal with that? Do you lock a player out? What happens if somebody's editing and then they are dropped up? Whatever. There were conflicts in there, but it is not a bad idea. Honestly, what I would say again is go to maybe make a thread in Patron AFS Studio, and ask for it, and then Adam can take a look at it, and maybe he can add it to his priority list. Will HDF come with female model options for the robots? No, because it doesn't come with male model options for the robots either. It's just the robots. Anything you can tell us about space rats? No. Question. Already sent an email, so feel free to ignore. Okay, that's. I'm going to run and sponsor an OPR tournament at my friend the local game store this fall. Do you happen to have any tournament kits, etc.? We don't have any tournament kits per se, but we do try and help people out when we can. So send an email. Well, it seems you already sent an email, so the community team will pick it up as soon as possible, and then they will let you know. Any word on physical books, Tashal, Worldbook, etc.? Not yet. I was hoping that we would be having it going by now, but again, lots of things have happened that have stopped us and have slowed us. So unfortunately, not yet, and I'm not sure when it would happen. Okay, I see that I've answered everyone's question. All right, we are just above 2 hours. Okay, 30 minutes more than what I would usually have these things run for. But I think it's still pretty cool. Thank you everyone for having joined. This was really fun. I think I'm going to have the next stream on probably next month, Thursday the 25th. I think that's probably when it's going to happen. So we're going to make a post about it on our website. Then there's also going to be a link to the Q&A there. So if you have any questions, it's always best if you ask them there already so we can take a look at them before. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, everyone, and